Welcome back to another episode of the Healthy with Heartland podcast. I am your host, Justin Freishtat. I am also joined by co-hosts and your creative directors, Simon and Shannon.
Hi there.
Hello.
Before we throw it over for some announcements, we just also want to welcome T-Bone the puppy joining us today.
Hi, T-Bone.
All right, let's throw it over to Simon and Shannon for some announcements.
Awesome. Welcome back, Heartland family. Just a couple quick announcements for you. If you're not already, we hope you are following us on our Facebook page. Make sure you check out our YouTube. You can check out all of the podcast episodes on there. Also, follow us on Instagram. We have awesome food photos, recipes, and all up-to-date stuff that's going on here at Heartland. If you are ready to place your reorder, the reorder special for this month is a crockpot dinner bundle. Delicious for you and your family. So make sure you reach out to us or your wellness consultant, place your reorder before January 31st, and we'll include that on your delivery absolutely free.
Yes.
I know that if you are following us on Facebook, you have seen some of our latest and greatest pop-up events headed by Kat. So check out the Kat and Lindsay page on our Facebook. Get involved in some of these pop-up events. Have one out to your neighborhood area. Let your friends and family, neighbors try and taste the difference of Heartland. So other than that, look out for an announcement coming out this week. We have our professional partners, Stephanie and Todd from the Miller Method. We'll be partnering with them and letting you know all the awesome specials that we have in this awesome relationship that we've started with them.
Yes.
Also, if you want to eat free for life with Heartland, ask us how you can do that. Reach out to us or your wellness consultant. And then keep monitoring us on this podcast on a weekly basis every Thursday, 9:30. You won't want to miss our awesome giveaways. So just stay tuned for that. And with that, I will pass it over to the squad.
All right. So super controversial topic. I can't wait to get into it. So we'll just jump right in. So let's start here. Justin, you posted the article. What was the name of the article? The headline? Here,
Let's see. The best solution is to not need healthcare.
Not need healthcare. And it was super controversial. I think it got a lot of engagement. There were a lot of comments. But let's start there, Justin. What was the intent upon posting the article?
Well, of course, healthcare is necessary, right? That's not the point. It's about just taking accountability for the things that you can control. This is not anything to do with pre-existing conditions. There are a lot of people who will need the healthcare system for things that are out of their control. So let's just get that out of the way, right? But real quick, before we dive deeper into the topic, giveaways.
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to be giving stuff away every single week on the podcast from here moving forward. So how do they register for the giveaway?
So if you want to register for the giveaway, we recommend you tune in weekly to our 9:30 podcasts. If you're watching now, go ahead and share this podcast, tag a friend in the comments below, and you'll be entered to win at the end of the episode. We'll put everyone's name in a random drawer, and we'll go ahead and announce the winner.
Yes.
So each week it'll be a different prize. So stay tuned because we won't necessarily tell you what you may be winning, but there's some awesome stuff in there. I won't give away the prize at the end of the episode, but definitely stay tuned, share, and tag to win.
Lots of good prizes. Could be appliances, could be food, all kinds of stuff. And we will give it away live at the end of the podcast. So stay tuned.
Yes.
All right. Back into healthcare.
Back into it. So, yes, super controversial topic. Take it away, Justin.
Yeah, so I think the things we want to talk about is just the culture of how we're handling COVID, right? We are all getting information on how to not contract COVID, all the things you can do from masks to social distancing, all that stuff, staying at home. That's all fine and well, but what we want to talk about is things that you can do to give yourself the best odds and percentages if you do happen to get COVID, to give yourself the best chance to get through it quickly, have a speedy recovery, and just be as healthy as possible going into it, right? We want to try to avoid it, of course, but in the event that you do contract this, what can you do in advance to give yourself a better shot?
Right. And I think a lot of people, like you mentioned, they were watching the news or maybe, reading articles, and a lot of the information that was put out there was, of course, good info, right? Social distance, wash your hands, things you should be doing on a regular basis, but nothing was really mentioned or put out there about, your diet, your lifestyle, how, if you exercise, what you eat, all those things matter in the long run, and especially like metabolically with how your body handles things. And like Justin said, giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed if you were to get, any sort of, disease or sickness, et cetera. So.
Yeah. I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding, right? Like I think we have some stats on the people that were really affected by the COVID virus and how obesity and, all these underlying diseases and those kind of things, which are preventable.
Yeah.
Right.
I believe that over 90%, 94% actually of the deaths that were contributed to COVID had people with pre-existing conditions, and 80% of the people that were hospitalized had the specific conditions like diabetes, hypertension, and obesity, which, like we're talking about, have a lot to do with lifestyle and specifically your diet, right?
Yeah, and of course there's, medical conditions that are exceptions to the rule. So
right.
Please don't, comments. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, genetics, family history, all those kind of things, of course, they play into that. But overall, you can do a lot of things with diet and food. Even way back in the day was considered medicine. So there are a lot of things you can do with supplementation and with, eating fruits and vegetables and adding those things into your diet that can help you benefit with your immune system and the way that your organs and body functions just overall.
Yep. So building your immune system is a science, and we want to give you some specific things that you can actually do to boost your immune system, be better prepared for, just like you said, life, the world, disease, bacteria, whatever. You're going to come in contact with viruses.
Absolutely.
It's just going to happen. So here's some things you can do to be prepared. And we're going to start with sleep. Mm-hmm. So this is from NIH. The immune system activation alters sleep. And sleep, in turn, affects the innate and adaptive arm of our body's defense system. You need good quality sleep, or your immunity will suffer.
Mm. And your body repairs itself in its sleep. So, I mean, right there, that tells you how important it really is. And I guess what's the recommended amount of sleep that you should be getting?
It's interesting. It's different for everyone, but I think it's more of a sleep cycles, the amount of times you go through a sleep cycle. So I'm not sure if there's a great book called Change Your Habits, Change Your Life that really gets into the science of habits and changing things. And one of the things about changing, whether you believe this or not, like the way you sleep is super important to everything else. So when you go through your sleep cycles, you're going to hit the REM, the deep sleep, all that stuff. You need to go through, I believe it was 2 to 3 of those cycles per night to completely get rested and for your brain and everything to get ready for the next day of exertion. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's going to take 7 to 8 hours.
Wow. It sounds like what you're talking about, too, is like the quality of the sleep, right?
Yeah.
You could be sleeping and you could really not be recovering and not really be getting rest. But if you're getting those REM cycles or if you're getting that deep sleep, then you're going to reap the benefits of it then, is what it sounds like.
Yep. Lots of ways to destroy your sleep. Any alcohol before bed, you won't hit your sleep cycles deep. That's why you kind of feel fatigued the next day, a little foggy.
Right.
So...
And things that you eat, I heard, can affect, how your sleep is. Like if you
100%.
are eating, especially sugar and things like that, close to going to bed, but even like your digestive system can keep you up and not let you get into those deep cycles of sleep when, it's trying to digest a heavy meal that you just ate before, going to bed. So all that stuff adds up.
Being magnesium deficient as well can affect your sleep. And right now, I think it's really hard to get actual amounts of magnesium from your diet because of the soil and how, soil is not what it used to be. It doesn't have that magnesium that we should have in our diet. So it's even supplementing with magnesium is a good way to get better sleep.
And you are supposed to supplement magnesium specifically before bed.
Right.
It gives you a calming effect and it will put you into that deeper sleep. So if you want supplement recommendations on magnesium, Dave Shuttler's got me hooked up with all the best sups. So lots of research behind all that. Comment if you would like some info on that. And that brings us to the next supplement. The most important supplement pertaining to COVID is vitamin D.
Yes. Actually, James Collins posted that in the comment section. He said vitamin D ! So he's absolutely right.
Yes. You're onto it.
Yep.
So vitamin D lowers the odds of developing respiratory infections.
Wow.
It plays a central role in immune and metabolic function. And it's the number one most efficient mineral supplement, anything across the board that people just don't have naturally.
I believe it. And two, I know specifically when we were talking about, natural things that you can do in your diet to help boost your immune system. And vitamin D is one of them, vitamin A and vitamin C, of course, which a lot of people are familiar with, but also supplements like curcumin and green tea extract. Those things, are things that you could easily add into your diet and boost your immune system that way as well.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's like the controversial thing, right? the whole time, this whole COVID time, I'm just wondering why in the world, we're mass distributing vaccines. That's great. But why earlier were we not mass distributing vitamin D to everyone?
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone needs it, and it helps prevent COVID. It helps your respiratory. It just doesn't make any sense how we don't do anything to prepare for something that might happen.
Right.
And just remember, giveaway at the end of this.
Yes. So if you
podcast.
are
So
tuning in
giveaway,
right
giveaway.
now, make sure you share this podcast and tag a friend, and you'll be entered to win
I believe
at the
we
end
have
of this episode.
Yeah, there we go. Why don't we just leave that up there for them, so everybody will know this time.
All right.
Awesome. But then, right here we have the CEO Mackey in that actual article, and he says, "I mean, honestly, we talk about healthcare. The best solution is not to need healthcare, right?
And what does that mean to you?
It's preventative medicine, right? So people should be taking these preventative precautions before actually needing it, essentially. Like, I think our healthcare system is built around post. Like, you're already sick. They want to give you medicine to then, build you up, where things like your diet, things like, your lifestyle, all of those things, I think, contribute to not needing like healthcare, essentially. Not everyone. Some people do have, like predisposed conditions and things like that. But for the most of us, right, it's things that we can control. When you talk about obesity, when you talk about diabetes, when you talk about, high blood pressure, things like that, it's all things that are coming from your diet, coming from your lifestyle that you can control. Right. And it's not necessarily, I don't want to make it seem like it's someone's fault. Like it's the person's fault, because it's a lot has to go into, that lifestyle, like into how you're doing things on a daily basis. So you're going to the grocery store, you're probably shopping in those middle aisles of, these processed foods and all those kind of things. You're probably not staying on the outside aisles. You're probably not worried about the quality of the food, which is huge, I think. Right. You know what I mean? All of those things are playing against you right now with the lifestyles that we lead and how we live here, especially in the United States.
Well, one thing I think that you brought up, I think kind of can lead us into another topic, which links us to, the farms and why we work with the farms we work with. A lot of stuff that's interesting is, why do we have all this bad food? Why is this stuff that's, not necessarily good for us, or that's packaged and processed? Why is that the stuff that's easily accessible? Why is that the stuff that's advertised? Why is that the stuff that, kids want? Things like that. And then why do we have so much of it? Why do we have a $15 trillion industry, actually the largest industry throughout, agriculture and things like that, through, fertilizer companies, but it's all over 3 different things, right? Corn, soy, those sort of things that are processing all of these different items. And it's just interesting that certain farms, they are regenerative and they are putting things back into the environment. They're doing good things. And, that's the kind of people that we support. And those are the kind of farms that we want to work with, because putting, carbon back into the soil is what's going to eventually give us, better agriculture, better food, right? Gives us a better opportunity to have higher nutrient quality in our food. So I know that, our farms, the way things are farmed, specifically like Thousand Hills, maybe Justin, you could talk about, how that helps the environment and how it's a better way to raise the animals for them and for us.
Yeah, so there's a lot of misinformation out there, because a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to eat beef because it contributes more, CO2 emissions than cars.
Right.
Well, you're somewhat correct when you say that, because that is feedlot beef. Okay, these animals, cows are ruminant animals, 4 stomachs. They need grass. That's what cleanses, processes. That's what they're meant to have. When you turn their diet upside down, you corn adapt these animals, they excrete a lot of methane. I mean, it's a lot.
Right.
So, yeah, totally agree with that. That doesn't mean don't eat beef. It means buy it from good sources that practice regenerative agriculture.
100%.
Right? Because whether you believe this or not, if you eat the grass-fed, pasture-raised beef you get from us, it actually does the exact opposite, because when you do pasture rotation and the manure sequesters carbon back into the earth uses that carbon to grow the grasslands back, and you pasture rotate that process, it's the exact opposite. You're fighting climate change.
Right. It's almost the same process that plants go through with photosynthesis, right? They're taking the carbon from the air, they're putting it into the ground, and the carbon, actually, what's interesting is what's holding the water in the soil. So that's just another factor of our environment that it's helping, instead of hurting. So I thought that was, an interesting segue in between the availability and the quality of food, and then how the food is raised as well.
When you think about it, it's not rocket science, right? Like it's just how it's supposed to be. But we went into this whole revolutionary sort of era of transitioning from doing it the right way to mass producing everything.
Right, industrializing.
Industrial. That's the word. Not revolution. Sorry, industrializing everything. Right. So I feel like that right there should give you some kind of perspective on it, because it's like, years and years ago, they didn't have this diabetes. Well, I mean, maybe they did, but it wasn't on the scale that it is now. They didn't have, obesity. They didn't have all these kind of things because people were eating wholesome foods because they were growing it in their backyards. They were getting, like these, the animals and stuff like that were eating just what they're supposed to. You know what I mean? They weren't feeding them corn that is being, like, I guess it's a tax break essentially that they can then feed to animals and giving them, all kinds of things, just trying to make a loophole around it essentially,
right,
and start factoring everything. Where if you go back to these smaller farms, back to the farmers where you actually know them, it said, know your farmer, know your food. That's a way right there when we're talking about how you can get away from needing healthcare, right? Knowing the farmer, knowing your food, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
Boom. might need a bomb right there.
Yes, drop the mic.
There you go.
On that one.
All right, so back to the COVID topic here. I just want to give you some serious stats just to take some accountability for the things that you can control, okay? These are just straight facts from the CDC that we need to consider. You are 2 times more likely to die from COVID if you are obese, whether from a pre-existing condition or from your lifestyle. Handle it. That means you're 2 times less likely to die from COVID.
Right.
CDC ICU stats. This made it. This did it for me. Okay. Right. 20% of patients with an underlying condition in the ICU die from COVID.
Wow.
Okay. Now compare that to if you do not have underlying conditions. Only 1.6% of those patients died from COVID. So all I want you to think about right now is if there's anything that you can control, if you have any pre-existing conditions that you can control, that you can do something about, do it. You're literally lowering your odds of death by 20% if you catch this thing.
That's enough said, period, right?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? It's like wearing your seatbelt. Why wouldn't you?
And this is even more impactful to me because, people say, when you look at the stats, like if you're over 60 or over 80, and then you look at the younger demographics pretty much are bulletproof, right? Mm-hmm. Well, it's not true. You ready for this?
All right.
2.8% of patients ages 20 to 29 with underlying conditions die from COVID.
Wow.
Again,
okay,
that's mind-blowing.
It's a lower stat.
Yeah.
Right? So you are less likely to die from it if you're younger, right? But you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an underlying condition, ages 20 to 29, 0.1% chance of dying when you get COVID.
Wow.
There it is.
And this is in the ICU, just to be clear.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So if you go into the ICU, ages 20 to 29, and you're obese already, 2.8% chance of going.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Don't risk it.
No.
Take control. You'll feel better. You look better. Everything in your life gets better. And if you catch a deadly virus, you're more likely to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And they were saying, I feel like, as you talk about the older age range, that, your immune system already is it's just getting older.
Senescent.
So it's senescent, right?
Yeah. Said, yeah.
So, as far as young people though, why would you, why would
interesting topic. One thing they said that a lot of that has to do with the gut microbiome, right? Your immune system can be senescent because your gut microbiome is not what it should be. And if you're doing the right things, taking certain supplements, eating foods, or not eating certain foods that your body doesn't do well with, you're going to put your gut microbiome and therefore your immune system in a much better position regardless of your age. So that's important too.
Yep. Absolutely.
All disease is rooted in inflammation. Mm-hmm. Eat inflammatory foods, increase your odds of disease. Of course, we all have the cheat meals. It doesn't mean you have to eat like a machine, but it's about what you do most of the time. And most of the time isn't 50 to 60% of the week. It's 90% of the week or more.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Give yourself one cheat meal a week, whatever.
Yep.
And you'll feel the inflammation because once you get rid of it, if you eat consistently well for, I'm going to say 14 days or so, you will literally feel the inflammation leave your body. I mean, little aches and pains. Like if you got joint pain and you take glucosamine for that, did you know that glucosamine does not help with the inflammation? It just masks the pain. It literally just confuses you.
Wow.
It's not getting rid of it.
Right.
It's alleviating the pain, but it's not getting rid of it. The only way to get rid of inflammation is to eat a very alkaline-like diet.
Yep.
That's it.
And it's within your control. It's
Right.
within your control, right? I mean, we talk about like, you know, the reason it's so hard is because when it's a diet, it's not really like, you know, your lifestyle. So you have to kind of take yourself through the monotony of these meals because you're still eating, like you get kind of mixed into it and want something that quote unquote tastes good or you know is comfortable to you.
Right.
That's why they have these chain restaurants. You know, when you think about it, like you go back to a chain restaurant because it's comfortable, right? Because you know you expect and you know exactly what you're going to get, but you're not thinking about, is this kind of good for me? You know what I mean? Like you're more on the aspect of like, I want it to feel comfortable, I want it to taste good. This is what I know, as opposed to, is it really good for me?
Right. And I can read the exact quote. So the monotony of eating a clean diet or being restrictive with ingredients means that a lot of people will revert to what they know and what is comfortable and what tastes good versus what's good for them. Because a lot of the times what tastes good is not necessarily what's good for you. And we could go a little bit into that with, and I know it's a little bit off topic, with just how scientists and companies have evolved food, and they've specifically tested it and designed it to taste a certain way, to feel a certain way in your mouth, and to have you be addicted to it, to want it more and to come back to it. So it seems like an emotional thing, like why can't you break the craving, et cetera, when really it's a physical, biological connection. It's almost as strong as they say cocaine and heroin, the connection that it actually forms with your brain, the food. So the way that foods are designed also is what's controlling those things. So the sooner you can get healthy whole foods into your diet and not processed packaged junk, the better off you're going to be in that sense.
So we have a question from Liz Dubbett. She said, what about those of us who have autoimmune diseases where inflammation is a key component? So what kind of advice do you guys have for that?
I would say, obviously, consult your doctor, right? But at the end of the day, you probably just have to be even stricter. Health, you just have to choose it and keep trying things. Go get one of those blood tests that will basically tell you the things you're sensitive to that will cause inflammation. A lot of times it's the things you eat the most that you become inflammatory to.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, when you think about an alkaline diet, reducing of inflammation, it's all things that are green and leafy you can eat, and the subtraction of sugar.
Yep.
And eating your body weight in grams, protein. I mean, it's not rocket science, but people just don't have the information.
Yeah.
And the biggest argument I see that just drives me nuts is healthy eating's expensive. Like, I think that's complete BS. Yeah. And I can show everybody how, first of all, rice is one of the cheapest things there is. I can buy a 50-pound bag of rice and you could live off that for like a month or two, right?
Yeah.
And then all you would really need to go with that is just protein. So even if you couldn't afford quality meats, at least you could buy cheap meat and rice. And that is cheaper than Doritos or whatever. Like that box stuff, like, oh, it's only $2 or $3. But I mean, what does that last you? You get a snack in the afternoon. My 50-pound bag of rice, that's $10-20, whatever. I mean, that's going to last me months.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just not true. It's just misinformation and making the right choices.
Yeah.
What do you guys say to the people that are like, because you hear that a lot too, but then you also hear the time, right? The time that it takes to cook meals at home.
I think we're all proponents of prepping food in advance. I know there's a lot of things you can do. Like there are healthy snacks that you can pre-prepare or have in your office, car, and home to not make you choose something unhealthy in a moment of weakness or in a moment of, like you said, you not having the time. If you set aside, time to do meal prep or, like I said, to get healthy snacks and things and have them around you. Because a lot of times if you don't have it in your house, or if you do, it can work both ways. That's can be the trigger for most people. So if you want to stick to the healthy thing, have those things readily available for you. And for me, that was an easy thing that I would go to it because it was there versus, seeking something else because there wasn't anything around for me.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. At the end of the day, you have to want your health more than you want that food. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Most of the time, you got to just do, and it's different for everybody. I mean, for me, if it's there, environment is everything for me.
Yep.
It can't be in the house. If it's in the house, it's getting eaten.
Yeah.
Right? If you go to the party, you're going to drink. Like, that's me. Like,
Yeah.
it's one or the other. I'm
Right.
in or I'm out.
But it's great that you know that, because then you're able to plan ahead for that, right?
Mhm.
Like, you already know and you can already expect that, so you can make those decisions. And like you said, you're conscious about it and it's something that you want, so you're going to make sure that's a priority.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, like you just said, having the right stuff. I mean, Quest products are unbelievable. Like, we just ordered literally cases. I mean, cases from Amazon of the Quest chips.
Yeah.
I love potato chips. They make it with protein isolates, and it's literally a bag of chips is like 70 calories, I think.
Wow.
And you're getting, I think, around 20 grams of protein, a little bit of carbs and fat. I mean, it's like drinking a protein shake, but I'm eating potato chips, right?
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't taste as good as the other stuff,
Right.
but that's not the point.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle that I can live with and stay healthy, and that's what you have to find for yourself.
Yep. You got to find what works for you.
So that's time. The other one is cooking. So a lot of people don't know, I guess, how to cook. And actually, I think for us, even just being on this podcast, maybe this is something we talk about off the podcast, is maybe that's what we should kind of get into, is maybe some directionals where, we have the master chef, Justin, to kind of cook up some of the products and actually educate people on what you can do. Because a lot of people
to show you how easy it is with Heartland's products, you don't have to do much
or with
to
any
have
products.
it taste good and be good for you, though.
Yeah. But more specifically our products, but any products, because I think, like, again, people are always asking, well, I don't know how to cook a steak. I don't know how long do you put the chicken on there? And I guess it kind of like it leans them away from actually wanting to cook. And the easier thing is to drive through the drive-through, order, and then you think it tastes good. But if you've ever had a homemade chicken sandwich as opposed to a chicken sandwich from a fast food restaurant, you can't tell me that tastes better. You know what I mean? Like processed chicken, processed bread, like all that, as opposed to having something homemade. You're just missing out. So I think that's what would you say to someone like that? Like, that probably is not in tune and doesn't know how to cook. Where would you advise them?
I mean, I think it would be great to get Justin showing everyone how he does it. But I mean, for me, a resource that I use is, YouTube. I mean, you can look up anything that you want to cook and get simple tips. But I think, salt and pepper, a cast iron pan, and a good high quality oil is all you really need to cook a protein. Don't be afraid to use your oven, right? It's really easy to cut open your Heartland chicken breasts, put them all on a sheet pan, and I can bake them in the oven for 30 minutes and it's ready, and I don't have to cook it on the stove. So just get creative and try different things. That would be my advice.
Exactly. It's a learning process, right? And you're adding one thing or the other. First, you learn how to cook on a pan, then you learn the oven, then you learn the Instapot, then you learn the sous vide and the grill and all that stuff. So there's a million ways to do it, and we have the internet. I mean, you are one search away from a million recipes, a million different cooking methods. You just got to get started.
Yep.
But one thing I will say, if you're transitioning into a healthy lifestyle and healthier food, something you got to do, which is counterintuitive, nobody really talks about this, you need high quality salt added back into the food, because you're going from probably a very poor quality, high sodium diet to a complete removal of that with the healthy food. And you really do need salt.
Right.
It's very important for your body. In fact, you're better off having a slightly elevated blood pressure than a low blood pressure, because if you're salt deficient, it's worse than having too much salt.
Right.
It really is, because your heart's got to work harder to pump the blood. It's just tougher on your body. So, if you have hypertension and blood pressure issues, it's not because of salt. It's because of all the processed nasty food that you've been accumulating inside of your arteries that are increasing your blood pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's all kinds of different types of salt. We use sometimes the Himalayan pink salt, or like you said, like the what's the Hawaiian one we use with the
volcanic stuff?
Yeah, like the
black
salt.
salt. Black sea salt.
Yeah, that stuff is really good too. We put that with like a little clue of pork. It's so good. But yeah, salts are definitely. I mean, we're made of salt in our bodies, right? We have salt. Like it's part of our normal regulation, all that kind of stuff. So.
And according to the Salt Fix book, that's how they say we evolved from sea creatures.
Right.
Yeah, because our kidneys are able to process more salt than you can consume. So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, but quality salt, right? Redmond's real salt, that's the highest quality salt there is. It's super high in magnesium, good quality minerals. Pink Himalayan is okay. Just you don't want to overdo it with that because it does that region of the world does have trace radioactive minerals like uranium, plutonium found in it.
Right.
So yeah, salt is not all created equal. It's like everything with nutrition. There's always a deeper level to every layer of this.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So always stay a student, you know what I mean, to the health and wellness trends, to the health and wellness game. Like there's always, that's what I feel like is there's always things to learn, right? When you think you're learning something, you're open to this new galaxy of things. Like you're like, oh, what? There's more?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty awesome. But like Justin said, you got to get started. I just want to give a couple shout outs to Elena Trinidad Poe. She said she's getting gut healthy. She's getting rid of inflammation.
That's awesome.
James Collins, I want to give a shout out to David Anderson, Liz Dubbish. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Pretty awesome to leave comments and we really appreciate them liking, sharing, commenting, all that great stuff and engaging with us. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, especially if you like, these kind of topics and what we're talking about. And if you have any ideas on things that we should bring up and discuss in future podcasts, please feel free to reach out to us or comment below with your ideas.
Yep.
Awesome. Is it time to pick a winner for our giveaway?
I think it's about that time, guys.
Yes. All right. So let me put it up.
And what are we giving away today?
So today we are giving away, and I'm really excited about it, an alkaline water pitcher. So if you're familiar with those Brita water pitchers, this is much better. No knock on Brita. This is going to rehydrate you faster, has a wonderful clean tasting water when you pour it for yourself, and it's going to ionize and alkaline the water. So it comes with the pitcher and the cartridge, and we're very excited to give it away to a lucky winner. We hope that you enjoy it. So Simon is going to put everyone's name who liked and shared, tagged a friend watching this podcast today.
We'll give you 30 seconds to tag a friend and share if you haven't yet.
Tag and share now. And tune in next week because we'll be giving away another awesome prize at the end of the episode.
Yes. Awesome. I love giving things away.
Who doesn't?
It's the best.
Free stuff.
Yes.
All right. And while we're waiting for that, I know we mentioned it at the beginning of the episode, but I will just make sure to let you know we have some wonderful pop-up events that are going on this weekend. So make sure to check those out. If you haven't already, scan the QR code and reserve your sample bag to pop up at one of those this weekend. I will throw up the code up there so you can go ahead and visit our website to reserve your sample pack. It's heartlandfoods.com/reserve-my-sample. And you can select 4 different proteins, and it'll come with some of our vegetables and our potatoes. It's an awesome tasting. So that way you guys can really see, what it is that we do and try it with your family. So yeah. Make sure you check that out on Facebook. And if you're interested in hosting your own pop-up event, make sure you send a message to Kat and Lindsay at Heartland Foods.
I'm kind of chuckling because James Collins said, does Justin personally deliver?
You never know.
The water pitcher?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome.
Maybe.
The other thing I wanted to mention before we forget is we are on the Nextdoor app now. So if you are a Nextdoor app user, please, I'll put a link in the comments.
Yep.
Go ahead and
check us out and recommend us on nextdoor.com. And we would love to come to your neighborhood. And like I said, do a pop-up event.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So we have a winner. I wish I had a drum roll sound effect.
Oh,
I can probably
fake drum roll, drum roll.
All right. And the winner is
T-Bone.
It's always T-Bone. Liz.
Yay! Congratulations.
Liz, congratulations.
Liz. Awesome. You are the lucky winner of our alkaline water pitcher. So we will get with you and we will get that out to you as soon as possible so you can start enjoying it. Thank you so much for watching and for participating. We appreciate everyone who has shared the podcast, tagged a friend that they think would get some value from it. And make sure to stay tuned to all of our social media. And like I said, next week's podcast, we can give away another awesome gift. If you guys want to wrap up, or is there anything else you guys want to say to send everyone off on an amazing day?
Take it away, Justin.
So any topics you want us to talk about, anything health and wellness related, food, whatever, diet, exercise, supplementation, throw it in the comments. We'll hit those topics in the future. And as always, stay healthy with Heartland.